evening.
Hi, Lee.
Good evening.
How are you, Bill?
How you doing?
Hello there.
So before we get going, there are three systems but two of them I need you guys involvement. I couldn't do the
That puts them on.
The first one is for Dairy Mart. That's 362, I think, East State, and that's Allen's system, and it's a repair for the retail store and the two-bedroom apartment. It's got two pumps plus a new SAS. The fee is paid. The review's complete. And other than those trees, it's mainly it's a paved and cleared and grassy and building with buildings and deep sand, 66-inch water table. The issues that we have are the limited area for the SAS and the high water table. The design is to reuse the existing and both the 1,500-gallon single compartment tank and the 1,000-gallon pump chamber both have ballast. He's going to be installing the two new pumps and controls in between actually using the reserve area and next to in between the lines in the existing SAS. 3 foot by 50 foot by 12-inch effective depth trenches with vents. It's installed in the reserve area between the existing trenches. It's got 555 gallons a day provided versus 550 required. We've used up the reserve area, so one is not provided. 5-foot water table separation up. The ballast was retained from the existing tank and pump chamber. The septic tank and SAS separation of the wells and wetlands is more than 100 feet. And what I had down is that the trench permit is required, and it's a fill requirement system, but we're not going to be adding any fill at this point. Do we have? We've discussed this a couple different times. Are we okay with this?
That's the existing system behind Dairy Mart?
It is.
Okay. And how many pumps? Just one pump, Dick?
No, two pumps.
Oh, we're making them go with a double pump. Okay.
Yeah, and when they went through and tried to muck out the essay, there was one line that there was in question, and when they got in, they said this was just filled with roots, and they said let's abandon the existing trenches and put new ones in.
Oh, they did. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'm fine with that then.
Lee, are you all set with that?
I am,
Next
yes.
one.
Yeah, thank you.
Next one, I'm going to ask for you guys' involvement. In fact, the next two. This is Allen again, 154 Bachelor Street. This is if you're coming down North Street and to the we'll say the northeast, and as you hit Bachelor Street, you take a hard left across the little brook right after the brook on the left to repair a complete system, a 3-bedroom house. The fee is paid. The review isn't completed on this. It's a mainly cleared, grassy 2.5-acre lot, deep sand, 78-inch water table. There are wetlands to the east and the south. The issues of the wetlands and the water table. At this point, when I talked to Alan, and that's what I've got on discussion for us, is a wetland proximity is prompted Alan to use a bed instead of trenches. The design for this one is a new 1,500-gallon 2-compartment tank, no outlet filter, a 14-foot by 43-foot bed, 445 gallons a day provided for 440 needed. Reserve area is not provided since it's a repair. There is still required 5-foot water table separation. Ballast isn't required. The existing septic tank and leaching tank will be pumped, crushed, and filled.
You reach my
septic tank and SAS separation of the wells and wetlands more than 100 feet. The issues I've got is a trench permit and the fill requirement, but what I wanted to, Bill and Lee, get your thoughts. Alan used the trench at the bed instead of trenches because he didn't want to encroach on the 100 feet to the wetland. And he's stuck on the west side. He's only 11 feet from the lot line, so he can't move that way. And he'd have to move, but he can't move to the south because he starts to make it longer, and he starts to run into the wetlands. And he didn't want to move. The obvious thing was to move it, add maybe another 12 feet, and put the trenches in, which would move it to the east. So that the question, I guess, is for sure, Lee and Bill. My feeling is that the trenches, the life of the trenches is going to be so much longer than the bed that I'd give in and give them the 12 feet towards the wetlands. But I felt that that's our decision, not my decision. What is your thinking?
Let me find the plan first. Colleen, did you send this plan out?
Well, the plan is I sent them, put them in your packets.
But do you have it electronically that you
No,
can send it to me?
No, we don't have this one electronic.
I don't know if we have, I don't think so, no.
The only
Otherwise
one I
you would have
have for that site is I have a Title V inspection report that was sent out on the 18th of October.
Yeah, that was the failure.
Yeah, well, I can't, unless I see it, Dick, I can't really opine on it unless Lee wants to act unilaterally. That'd be fine.
Well, you can give your thought, Bill, if you could picture this thing, it's kind of a flat area that runs into the wetland. The whole area is kind of it's a meadow with a 5-foot water table. And he's got about 105 feet to the edge of the wetland.
Yeah, the point is, Dick, the point is, has anyone vetted the wetland delineation? No one's probably even vetted the wetland delineation. So we're talking fine-tuned numbers, and we really don't even know if those numbers are even in the ballpark. That's why I have a concern with that.
Yeah, and mine absolutely doesn't have the wetlands delineated. So,
yeah.
So you want to, on this one, the sewage isn't on the surface. Do you want to just tell
again,
Alan?
I think conservation meets next week. Have Alan come to conservation next week to start.
Okay. Well, Alan will be in, so let's.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Then
154 Bachelor. Okay.
So we'll tell Alan that. In fact, Alan can give a shot at delineating the wetlands. The next one that I have is Mike Petrus at 62 Ruby Street. I don't think you've got an electronic copy of that one either.
Have you made him be
Now
heard?
this one, if you're coming down Taylor Street, Bill,
Yeah.
and you hit the stop sign where it goes to the left, where the horse farm is, you take a right, and this is going to be the first house that's on the left. So it's the first one that's headed out into that wet field that goes all the way out to East Street. And
I know that property then.
And it's filled up in the front.
Yeah.
And the repair is a complete system, 3-bedroom house. Fee is paid. The review is not complete on this one also. It's mainly a cleared, grassy. One of the things that Mike hasn't said is how big the lot is, so that's not included. I've got a mistake saying, it says deep sands. That's a mistake on my part. It's actually till and fill in there. 78-inch water table. There, where it said wetlands to the east and south is not correct. But the issues are a slow perk there, and one of the whole.
Dick, is this is this on top of the hill on Truby?
No, it's
No,
not.
no.
If you look where, Gay's house, when you come down
Yeah,
that
yeah, Gay's house
street,
with the big, yeah, with
it's
the big
right in
barn,
front
yeah,
of you. So
yeah.
this is, you take a right,
yeah.
and as soon as you take the right, it's on the left. It's in that.
I'm looking at an aerial photo of it right now.
So what you've got is the front of this house is got sill in it. One of the holes, so he's calling out loamy sand with a 30-inch perk. And I'm just saying that's
Yeah,
one
yeah,
of the things I have.
again, I have to apologize if, I'm gonna have to get a copy of that plan set to review. I can't review things without looking at the paperwork. I'm
But you
sorry.
had them, Bill. Do you pick up your packet?
I didn't, because I had called Colleen this afternoon. I didn't even know we had the meeting tonight until after lunch, Dick.
Okay. Well, the question that I'm gonna ask, and we can go through this at least to talk about it.
Yeah,
What Mike has proposed is a 1,500-gallon tank, but he's got now the soil in the front is till that, although he's calling out 30 minutes per inch, but loamy sand, and I can't believe it. That's not loamy sand at 30 minutes an inch. But anyways, that one of the holes he's got just down that material. The other hole down 5 feet something. The A horizon is still there. They're still, so it wasn't stripped. And his plan is to put a 20 by 42-foot Presby bed in there. Going to have 3 feet of cover. He's asking for 2 feet of separation for the water table, and he's calling out in this dark soil. They're calling out a water table down at 78 inches, and this thing's going to have 3 feet of cover, and where I'm talking about is that he hasn't delineated. In fact, if you look at the issues that I've got on it, that it's got a garbage disposal, so that the plumbing permit needed for garbage disposal. There's no locus on this, no ties to the septic tank, no ties to the SAS, no note that the Board of Health does this or the strip. Since Lee isn't a soil evaluator, that doesn't allow us to give the 2-foot water table variance. Trench permit requirement, no, the still extent, even though we shows an A horizon underneath there, that he hasn't defined what he's taking out for material. No, let's see, I guess those are my questions there. But the real issue of this thing, I think that's in that dark soil. Falling out.
Dick, do they want to keep the garbage disposal or they?
No, he's going to make them take the garbage disposal out.
Okay.
But my feeling is that well, we can't give because Lee's not a soil evaluator, we can't give the 2-foot separation reduction, and we haven't. We don't do it. We never do it. And
Hey, Dick, I could go out there and witness it. I'm a soil evaluator.
you could do that. Absolutely, you could do that.
So
My concern is
if Mike wants to do it, he can call me up and I'll witness it. That's fine.
we could do that. So the other is maybe that's what we do and say we can't go ahead unless, well, we can't do it because we didn't comply with the requirements that the state has. So Mike can do that. But my general feeling is we shouldn't be giving this. There should be a pump system. And if you're going to put a system in over an improperly stripped area, that one of the first things you have to do is strip out that stuff that should have been stripped in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the code doesn't let you do it. The code requires that you do that. So anyways, then if that's what Lee Are you okay with that, to say if Mike wants to be talking about that? And then,
Oh, yeah.
were you there? Was
Um,
was there a good, strong oxide, or does this thing just?
No, it
Actually,
was
I have
pretty,
to ask.
it wasn't the best, but it was obvious. The current system does come out deep out of the house foundation, which doesn't mean it has to stay at that depth. Of course, you could always, I'm guessing I haven't been in the house. I don't know if the basement is finished or if it wouldn't be a big deal to raise the plumbing possibly. But, you know, if Bill does in fact go there as the evaluator, then they could touch on those points at that point in time.
Yeah, so maybe that's the way we handle it. We just say that's because the code doesn't allow us, without the soil, a second soil evaluator, it doesn't allow us to give the variance even if we wanted to.
Right, right.
So
No, you
Bill
don't.
could do it.
I can't
I'm
speak
not
to
a
the
big,
owner.
yeah. I'm not a big proponent of burying a system 3 feet deep until anyways, but that's my experience. If you look at the other houses over there, you'll see they're all way built up because absolutely that's not where the water table was on those other houses. So,
Yeah,
that's,
this one's on the crest, parallel with Truby. It's at basically the same height, and then as you head in a southerly direction towards the that swamp behind Russell Gay's house, there's
Yeah.
quite a distance, but then the backyard drops somewhat, not terribly aggressively, but it's a noticeable, probably 6-8 foot drop down, and then
Yeah.
it plateaus again, runs out into the swamp.
and that soil, the water table typically follows the contour, so it drops. But if Bill is going to go out and do it, then we just say that's what has to be done before we can discuss this. But we have not
Yeah, that's
granted a 2-foot separation. We just haven't done that.
Right.
On 2 different occasions, we granted 3 foot, a 3-foot separation, not 2 foot. So, but that's okay. Then that's the reason we brought it up at this meeting. So the next thing that we've got, we're at 7:17.
I think Lynn is here.
Is Lynn here? How are you, Lynn?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good.
Hey, Len,
Yeah.
So,
Good. Hey, how are you?
are you doing good?
I'm all right. I'm hanging in there.
so what can you be helping us with, or us help you with tonight?
Okay, so I have 2 things on my agenda here, and that's it. So the first thing is Brusso's. When I did their inspection, they have, I guess the well was dry. They have no water, so they were using bottled water to flush the toilet and wash their hands. They're not serving food, but at the same time, it's still retail, and I'm not sure. And he called somebody over there. I can't remember which company, and they said that the well was just dry, and that he was seeing that a lot in Granby, and there was nothing to do. And he said that, I can't remember his name, but the owner there, or the worker there, he said he was going to try to get so he can get a sewer line from the Granby, but I don't believe that's possible because otherwise he wouldn't be on a well. So I don't really know what the solution is there. Like, I'm not sure how to proceed with this one. Like, he has no water.
My opinion, and I'll just throw it out for us to talk. My opinion is we've got a shallow well, and we know shallow wells are not good things. And one of the things that happens with shallow wells is when the water table goes way down, you don't end up with any water.
Right.
So Bill and Lee, my opinion would be is just like the neighbors that we've had, and but maybe not his neighbor, but other neighbors, that when their wells fail, you have a well driller come in and put a deep well in and get them some water. Lee and
So,
Phil, what is your thought?
No, I mean, I agree. Lynn, is the code, I'm guessing it's very definitive. In other words, if you have no water, are you allowed to stay open?
And that's where it gets tricky. If it was a restaurant, I would have to close them down. You know what I mean? Like if he was serving food, the fact that it's retail and he's just serving liquor, he can get away with it, sort of. But I mean, it's the problem with what I was concerned about is that like he kept telling me there was no solution, and I was like, well, you have to come up with a solution because otherwise, like you can't keep doing it. You know what I mean? Like there's a little bit of leeway because it's retail.
Yeah, we can't be open-ended with this.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what you wanted me to reiterate back to him. So, I mean, I can swing by tomorrow and tell him what Dick said. So, but it's like, again, I just wanted to get your say on this.
Well, and yeah, I mean, I think from my perspective, a new well is an absolute necessity.
Okay.
The other specter in the background is the limitation on that particular lot with the neighbors. There's not a whole lot of room up there on that piece of property to get in a new well and keep away from, and I don't know where the neighbor's SAS is located, but for sure, there's some homework that has to be done here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, Lee, I can't remember for sure, but I think they put in a tight tank because there's no room there. But I'm not positive,
no,
but I think so.
Okay.
Is this
I'm not
building,
positive.
is this between Deerbrook and Green Meadow Lane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at the building right now. Not much room there, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that
And
was
there's
my
a-
concern, Bill.
And there's a house right behind it.
Yep.
There's a house to the left of it. There's a house to the right. I'm just concerned, how can they put a well in and maintain a 100-foot offset from leach fields?
Well, someone's going to have to look at it, right?
Yeah, I'm just looking at it right now on Google Earth, high resolution, and it's man, it's tight sneakers there.
When I talked to the well guys about this, that they told me that on a system that they get into like this, they do different kinds of seals and they drive the casing further into the ground.
I know what they
But
can do.
the issue here with all of what you're talking about, Bill, imagine putting a shallow well in there besides that, drinking the stuff that's got a leach field that's close to you.
You know, the funny thing, they're going to end up putting this well in the driveway near the highway, near Route 202. That's where this thing's going to end up going.
Wow.
Because I'm drawing a 100-foot arc on the computer right now. And boy, oh boy, what a horrible situation.
But the question is, are we going to have Lynn tell them that they need to get an engineer and a well driller, or the well driller first? And
At
then
least have them
engineer?
get an engineer, get a professional to start to figure out where they can put a well. It's not going to happen. You know, we can't shut them down because this isn't going to happen for probably some time, but at least we got to start the process because there's no other choice.
Yeah. The well drillers are usually pretty responsive if you don't have any water.
Yeah.
So
Now here's the next thing. Is there a dwelling associated with this business?
not anymore.
No,
Oh,
there
so-
was, but they split it off.
Oh, so when it was split off, were they deriving the water from the house well originally?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I can't answer that.
So maybe that's what happened. Maybe they sold off the house and then they needed water for the business and they punched in a shallow well. And here
But
we
it's
go.
the same, it sounds like it's the same answer. They need to get the well guy and the engineer.
Oh, yeah.
So Lynn's gotta tell them that they can't say that, so if there is, they have to put a new well in. And they've
Yeah.
gotta get the engineer and the well driller, or get the well driller to get the engineer, but they need to get this done.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your answer, Lynn.
Perfect. I can do that.
Okay,
My
Now let's-
second thing, go ahead.
go ahead. I was gonna ask what's your second thing?
Oh. Yeah. My second thing is, without going into too much detail, there's a concern among the churches and congregation people, that words out that food, particularly like cookies, like baked goods, are being actually made from their home instead of using the kitchens that are certified in the churches and selling that product. And so, I've been hearing complaints about, and, it's hard. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds like there's pretty good evidence that that's what's going on. And, some churches and congregations are doing it the right way by going through us, and some are just not. And so I don't know if we want to send out a letter to every single church and congregation saying, hey, you can't prepare or bake anything from your home and bring it to a church event and sell it. You have to use the kitchens that are serve safe. I don't know how you want to handle that too.
So here's my question, maybe for you, Lynn, but maybe also for Colleen. I'm guessing we for sure have 2 churches that are Serve Safe certified. And I
Correct.
don't know if there's more than that in this town. There are other churches,
Well-
maybe.
Well, from what I understand, the question was asked, and people and whoever was saying, "Oh no, I made it from home, and I'm bringing it here to the church to sell it."
Right. So when they
You know
do
what I
make
mean?
cookies and
Dick, I think
brownies,
we talked about this about 30 years ago. I remember this discussion coming up.
As long as Lynn's talking about that, then it's probably the schools are also, if you're gonna send this thing out, it's probably the places that we routinely give permits for events.
Correct. So basically, they're going to these events, but instead of using the kitchen to let's just say bake cookies,
Right.
in their own kitchen, they're doing it from home and bringing it to these events, and I have absolutely no way of knowing that. You know what I mean? I'm just assuming it's made from the kitchen.
Right. That's right.
So yeah,
It's hard to.
and I guess everyone, some of the churches and other ones that are doing it the right way are getting a little frustrated, from what I'm gathering.
We've crossed this bridge before.
What
Okay.
if we just sent out to, do we send it to all the churches and the schools? And
Yeah.
say that any products that are sold on their premises at any events any food products need to be prepared in the certified kitchens. Do we just send say, we want to remind you that this is the requirement?
And that's what I said to them. I said, maybe the board, that was my suggestion. I'm like, maybe that's the only way you can do it, because I have no way of knowing, you know what I mean? How would you know that? But all you can do is really send a letter and, just remind everybody that that's not okay.
but
that's,
so
I don't know.
we send a letter out, and then from that point forward, it's on the honor system, or how are we gonna, how's everyone gonna know?
Probably gonna find out someone else is gonna complain and say, hey, we got this letter and we know these people aren't doing it. And as it turns out, we only have a few different groups that get pushed, right? There are only like 4 different groups that, or more than that if you put the schools, the GAA and stuff. But so we could look
Right.
at wherever we give permits out. There may be places that are selling without even permits, but at least if you send to the people that we know about, and then if they don't do it, as Lynn is pointing out, it turns out that someone's going to complain and say, these guys still aren't doing it, and then we'll have something to base it on. But at least we start off by saying, hey guys, these are the rules that you're supposed to be following, and then they hopefully say, whoa, we didn't know that.
All right, so, so that anytime Colleen receives any application from whomever, a letter or copy of their letter should be included in the application, so they're aware of it, because we've got these various groups in town, as we all know, that are planning on renting out their properties or their barns or their whatever for different events. Possibly our next guest at the wine house may be part of that, accidentally as well. Preservation Society. I mean, there's potentially a lot of groups in town that fall into this.
You're feeling, Lee, as you catch it, that every time there's an application that we send it out, and the applications are supposed to be a month before the event.
That's correct. Right.
So
Which
you
gives
give them
everybody
a month
plenty of
to
time
prepare.
to do the right thing. Sure.
Bill, could you accept that?
Well, this is a complicated situation because, like Lynn says, it's hard to control where products are being baked.
Yeah.
And some people might say, listen, if you don't let me bake the cookies or the banana bread in my house, guess what? I'm not going to bake anything. So good luck. So it's a
But
touchy.
isn't that better than someone getting sick because we didn't try to do it right?
Well, you're assuming someone's going to get sick, Dick. You're assuming, and I think people have been doing this for years. If we want to be super conservative, of course, we'll say it has to be prepared in a sanctioned kitchen. But
why don't we, since that's the right thing to do, why don't we try to do it and see if people come back and say, well, we can't do this. And maybe what happens is if there's one.
Yeah. See if there's a lot of pushback. If there's a lot of pushback, we can adjust. But let's try enforcing the kitchen prep approach and see how it goes. But again, I'm expecting we'll probably see some pushback. But that's fine.
Then we can deal with it then.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, Colleen, if you can do that, draw something up that we'll hand out with people saying all the food that's sold has to be made in licensed kitchens.
Okay.
So we all agreed to that. Okay, so that's that. So we're done with you, Lynn?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. You don't
Have
have
a
to
good night.
stay for
Thank you.
Have a good night.
septic tank fun, Lynn.
Okay, I'm good for that. Thank you.
Alan,
Thanks, Lynn. Thank you.
Yep. You
Alan,
bet. Have a
thank
good one.
you
Bye.
for waiting.
Bye.
We ended up with your 2 systems, Alan, that the Dairy Mart is approved as you presented it. The one on 154 Bachelor Street, Bill would like to understand where the wetland really is,
Yeah.
trying to have it delineated. If Bill in fact asks that
We have a meeting next week, Al. If you want to stop
Yeah.
by, it would be great.
So,
please.
so Bill, Lee and I talked about at the site, and as I told Dick, we're beyond the 100-foot for sure. There's kind of no reason for an RDA here. The only reason I got into a little discussion with Dick about it earlier was if we made it any wider or longer
Mhm,
by using trenches, we would have started to kick towards the boundaries of the 100-foot.
mhm. Now, here,
And that was the only reason it came up. But
well, here's
right
the
now,
question.
as
Is
designed,
this-
it's
is this
not in the
bor-
buffer.
is this bordering Bachelor Brook?
Is that Bachelor Brook?
What do you
it's actually
truly-
it's a little tributary of
Yeah, it's a
Bachelor Brook.
tributary. I agree. Yeah.
Okay, again, I have to see, I'm sorry, but I don't have access to the plan set right now.
Yeah, I submitted also to Dick a locus map. There's no question there's a brook there, and there's no question there's
Okay.
BVW there, but as designed, it's over 100 feet from both.
Okay, well, again, let's take a look at the plan set at the appropriate time.
Well, I
You
thought
weren't-
that was tonight, that's all, because they're in a hurry.
The problem is, Alan, I threw before the board. I said, you know what I'd like to do if we've got to steal 12 feet in that easterly direction towards the brook, I'd rather do that to get the benefit of the trenches. But that's where Bill is saying, well, I don't even know.
Al, can you send me the plan right now?
Sure, I'm not
Send
sure.
it to me,
Get
send it
one,
to
but
me
I'll do that
directly.
right now, hold on.
Yeah, send it to me directly. I'll spend a few minutes looking at it. Why not?
Well, if that's the case, then that's not a fair thing. We're running late.
Yeah, this is gonna hold the meeting up. Listen, Al, come to the conservation meeting next Tuesday if you would, please.
But can you discuss it if it's not on your agenda?
Of your conservation commission, you can do it, right?
We can do it, we can do it during 7 to 7:15, which is an open access building permit, so we can discuss that.
And
Well,
what is your date and time?
It's 7 o'clock a week from tomorrow.
To get
The 12th.
Alan out of where he's
Um,
hot right now. What we ought to do, Bill, is my feeling is that the trenches are so much better. I would rather give Alan the 12 feet or so that he needs to get the trenches in, but
You're
gonna be in
basically,
a-
the result of this is it will be postponed into the winter season. I'm really, it's not in the buffer zone. I've explained that already. It's very frustrating. I understand you all want a piece of reviewing it, but it is very frustrating now that we're not only going to have to do a wetland discussion, but now we're likely also going to have to do a redesign aspect. I'm just frustrated.
Well, Alan, I'm a little bit frustrated also because you didn't put the right dimensions and the things I need to do to review the system on the drawing. It doesn't show where the wetlands are. And they're
It's
important here, and that's where we're hung up. And we're hung up by what you didn't provide, and now we're trying to work that through. So,
Dick, I did provide a statement. It was over 100 feet away. I beg to differ.
over 100, that could be 101 feet, it can be 148 feet, and you're supposed to show it, and you didn't show it. So we're trying to discuss it. We're trying to get through it and actually try to get this done. But part of the review process is to avoid this, and we couldn't do it because it wasn't on the drawings.
Okay, let me ask you one more question. Okay, if I go to conservation and then agree, oh, well, yes, there is a stream and wetland there, which we know there already is, then they're going to ask for a delineation, which that process takes up several weeks or a month again. And then we're going to talk about changing the system design. What I'm saying is all of a sudden, we're going to push this into weeks and months out.
We were trying to talk that through right now.
Al, it's possible that conservation might look at the data next Tuesday and say you're okay without a permit. That's possible too. But again, I have no information to go off of here. You're asking me to make a decision without seeing the data.
Yeah,
It's,
I'm not sure you're gonna be able to make a decision without going to the site.
well, again, at least I'll have your plan set and I'll have some high resolution photographs to at least get started on it prior to the meeting.
The other thing, Bill, what I was trying to get us into a spot is to make it so Alan didn't end up in the problem that he's worried about. And that to get us so that the three of us can say either the bed is okay, we require trenches where they can be put in. If you on the conservation hat says, you know what, this is not encroaching, let's put the trenches in, move it to 12 feet. We could, Lee and I, and you could say, let's leave this up to you, Bill, as a result of next week's conservation meeting. If you say, you know what, I'd rather the environmental protection that Alan's got drawn, let's go with Alan's sign as Alan says. At that point, you'll have seen it, Bill.
Dick, why
Let you
doesn't
decide that
this
let's
board,
just move forward.
why doesn't this board approve it contingent upon approval by conservation?
Well, that's what my concern is, that we've got the bed. The code says to use trenches unless you can't use it. So in this case, certainly the code allows those trenches to be within 50 feet of that wetland. The Board of Health says 100 feet. So that's why I brought it back to the board to say, hey, board, let's assume the worst case. Let's assume that
Now, what's the address? Is it 62 Truby?
No, I just
it's
sent you I just
154
sent you.
Backward.
You just sent it to me. Let me take a look at it. This is going to take another 10 minutes.
That's a
Dick,
long
why don't
time
you,
to get people waiting.
well, why don't you move the meeting on to another topic, and I'll sit aside and look at this for a few minutes.
Okay, well,
Why don't we do that?
Mike is here, and Mike, we discussed, how are you, Mike?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. We discussed your system on 62 Truby, and we haven't approved a 2-foot water table separation. Where the concern that we had is where the water table really is. We can't approve the 2-foot separation if we wanted to, because Lee is not a soil evaluator.
Yeah,
But Bill is. And so what my thought is that in that whole area, if you notice, the systems are all kind of up in the air, the other ones beyond that. My guess is the water table is actually higher than that, but Bill's going to look not happy that there's one of those holes has got some horizon stuff buried down there, and your note says that it's strip underneath the septic system if you see the stuff, but the stuff is down at 62 inches, so you may never see it. So if there's stuff down there, it would have to be stripped out, even if they don't see it. So that's not defined. There were issues of ties to the tank, ties to the SAS. We've got a strip inspection by the board that's required. We got Trent permit that's required by the board. That's not in there. But the real issue is that my feeling is the system should be up higher, not, burying it 3 feet I know you've got called out not to go over 3 feet, but it's deep in that till that I certainly would feel better with a pump in there. Lee wasn't sure about whether the plumbing could be just brought up on at least 2 occasions. no, 2 occasions. We've approved a 3-foot water separation, not 2 foot. But what Bill said is that he was available to go out, and while you guys were on site, he's the second soil evaluator. So while you sit there and say, let's talk through what's the right system for this site, and just do it right then and get the whole thing approved. And then you'll have the person there that can approve that even if we want a 3-foot separation, that you still need the second evaluator.
Sure. Yeah, I sent the response to all the questions. Maybe you guys didn't get them. I know, I think I sent it at 3:30. But
Yeah, I didn't see it for sure.
yeah, no problem. And as far
The
as
other thing is
raising-
on your drawing, Mike, just for a point of reference, I tried
Sure.
to send stuff that out. Colleen sent it to you. You got
Yeah.
the wrong email address on your drawing.
Oh, no. It should.
The email address on my drawing to you was, let me see the drawing, but it's like,
Yeah, it should be mike@elsnow.com.
yeah, that's not what it says on my drawing. On my drawing, and so maybe you want to correct your drawing. My drawing says els@elsnow.com. On your letter, on your heading at the bottom and left of the drawing.
Yeah, no, I'm reading off mine. I don't understand how it printed like that. Maybe it was just an old
I
layer.
think the E on this thing, Dick, I think it's supposed to be, like on the left where the P is for phone. I think the E is supposed to be email, but it says.
Oh, I know that.
E
And
on
if you look, that's where it says E, then there's a space, and it says els@elsnow.com.
Right. Mine says e.mike@elsnow.com.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a
so,
weird thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand how, yeah. But,
Oh, you know
Nope.
what? Let me see if all of my drawings say the same thing.
Oh, I'm looking at sheet
Two of
number
my
1.
drawings say it. Oh, 2 of my drawings say ELF
No.
one of my drawings does, Mike, as it turns out that, I just chose the wrong drawing. So I've got sheet 1 of 2.
No, you're right.
yeah, I see, I
Only-
noticed that too, Dick.
2 of
So
3
the only
and 3
drawing
and
that
3
is the
have
right
that.
one is 1 of 3. And I didn't use
Yeah.
1 of 3.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
I
you're-
apologize. I do see it now as well. That's just an old title block.
Oh,
Oddly
Yeah,
enough.
So that's why,
yeah. I was only looking at the first page.
Yeah.
and that's the only
you're
page I
right.
did look at.
See? Yeah, 2 and 3 definitely have the old address on.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it too.
So
But yeah,
anyway,
I mean, we're,
Mike, if you get in touch with Phil, why don't you guys go out there, look at the thing, get it done, and figure out what makes sense on the site and do it
yeah,
the way
definitely.
it works for you guys.
Okay. Bill, do you have any preference in timeframes or?
Yeah, just give me a call at the office. We'll set something up whenever you want. We'll go out there, but give me a call.
Okay, I will.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
You're welcome.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So we could go through what we've got left. Bill, when you're ready how are you gonna deal with Alan?
Well, I'm looking, Al, I got a feeling we got a little issue here. This might actually be riverfront area. You hear me, Al?
I can.
Yeah, I'm looking, well, again, see, that's another problem, Dick, with my eyes. I got to get another pair of glasses. But I think that little waterway that goes through that property might be riverfront, but all is not lost. Because with an existing property in riverfront area, you're only obliged to put the system as far as practicable from the riverfront area. Or if you're in the riverfront area, you got to put it as far as possible from the river itself. Okay?
If that's
Which
the
is
case,
what's
then-
done.
If that's the case, then you have to let Alan do what he's proposed, because,
Yeah, I would recommend you put the bed in.
yeah. Alan, that settles that from what Bill just said, I agree that this is a case where we're giving way to push it further towards it is in conflict with what Bill just said. So the
Yeah,
bed
because-
is the way that it should go.
Yeah, where your leach field is, Al, is pretty darn close to that stream. I know it's probably like, well, it's not far from the stream, let's put it that way. The bottom line is, I would recommend, Dick, that we approve the bed as Al submitted.
Lee, are you okay with this?
Yeah, I mean, I was on site and it sure, without measuring, it sure did look like, I don't know, 100 plus all day long, but whatever you
Problem
guys
is if
want to
he-
do.
Yeah, if he's dealing with
But-
200 feet,
Yeah,
what-
that's right. See, that's the problem. It's the resource area. You gotta remember, riverfront is not a buffer. It's the actual resource area. It's like working in a wetland. So
Correct.
he just, Al's
by
as far
definition,
away
we
as you
gotta
can
put it in front of
practically get from it because you're encroaching on the well radius. And that's just the way it is.
Okay, so that, on that
Okay,
one,
okay.
so we still are, that we've got still, and the trench permit, those are the two requirements on that one.
Yes.
And so
Okay.
we are allowing the bed to go in here, Colleen.
Okay,
Thank
So
you.
it's-
Good night.
it's approved.
Okay, Al, glad we could help
Now,
you.
as Alan, it just said, so we all know, we just approved this without telling Alan he's got to go to the Conservation Commission. Is that what we just did, Bill?
Yeah, but he's gonna still come to conservation because there's an exemption that he can lean on to avoid doing fancy permitting with us.
Okay, so
So
this
this-
one is approved subject to getting approval of Conservation Commission. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, yes.
okay.
So
Which
Colleen,
exempt-
that goes,
Which
Okay.
exemption are you referring to?
did you hear Alan?
I can't hear you. Go ahead again.
I said, and what exemption are you referring to?
It's in 310 CMR 10. There's a riverfront exemption for septic systems for repairs, Al. I don't have the citation in front of me though.
Yeah, no, I know about that. I just didn't realize that required a meeting.
I think it's good practice to come to the meeting next Tuesday to run this by us.
Okay, got it.
Please do. Please do. Thank you.
Thanks.
You've
Yep.
got our approval, Alan.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go through our other business. We've got Colleen's timesheet for November 2nd. It's a
Well, Neil
standard
is here.
thing.
Is,
Pardon? Oh, Neil is, that's right. Neil, you're,
I'm here for the wine house.
we
Neil
asked,
for the wine.
we asked Neil and Jim to come, I think, huh?
mhm.
Yeah, I don't know if Jim's here, but I don't know.
see him.
I don't see him on participants, but
Well, we actually were trying to get Jim as the main person with you hearing it, but I guess we just talk to you because we can't talk to anybody else, huh?
yeah, that works.
So Neil was out, he did a perk test. There, at the time, Jim indicated that he was anxious to get the systems resolved for both the house and the business, and he was willing to lock the ownership of the two systems together, or the house and the business together. He understood that he would need a septic system a septic tank for the house, a septic tank for the business. What we talked about is whether Neil does that or not, is to put in a common pump chamber.
Yep.
And a leach field with fill. A plan that Neil was talking about the last time he was before us, and it sounded like Jim was willing to do that, is to get the system designed and approved, and they would ask us to be able to put the tank in, the first tank of look like we'll need probably 2 tanks, probably a 2,000 and I think a second 1,000 probably for the 2 tanks in series for the business. The plan was that they would put the 2,000 gallon in immediately after we approved the design of the system, the overall system, and then I explained that I thought the board would give some deadline to finish the whole system up. Is that what the board is thinking? I'm not, those aren't things that I'm just making up. These are, I think, what the board approved the last time Neil was talking to us. Is that?
So the first
and Bill?
2,000 gallon tank will be installed as a tight tank. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, Dick, I gave it some thought, and I think it would make more sense to put in 2 1,500 gallon tanks. You're getting basically the same amount. It still adds up to 3,000. You're getting 72 hours of detention time versus 48 that they require. And you're getting like a 2 compartment, because you have 2 single chamber 1,500 gallon tanks. So goes into one, catches the solids, and the liquid goes into the second one. So you get the same effect as a 2 chamber tank. But I think 2 15s might make more sense. Plus, if you put those both in right away, you have 3,000 gallons on the site versus 2,000. It just seems to make more sense.
One thing, Neil, one detail is when you tie the 2 tanks together, typically you put back-to-back T's between the 2 tanks, but that's a tricky little detail that you guys got to work out.
Yep.
Doesn't code say that the first chamber has to be 2 times the capacity, the daily capacity on a 2 chamber tank?
On a commercial site, the first chamber has to be 2 days detention.
Right.
So what's your daily flow, Neil?
Well, on the high side, we had 960. So maybe we should go back to the 2,000 and 1,000.
Yeah, I don't think the 1,500 carries that.
Okay. All right, we'll do the 2,000 and the 1.
Okay.
Now you can, if you want to do it, you can, although the 1 is a pain in the neck to just go after to try to pump. I don't do, where you said if you were putting in 2 1,500s in series for 3,000, you can still put the 2,000 and the 1,000 and still get 3,000.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. We'll do that.
So in summary, what we're going to do is Neil is our plan right now that we're agreeing is you're designing these 2 tanks you're talking about. Our plan is to get those in. We would allow you to put that in a temporary basis. You're designing a 2 pump chamber and a leach field, that the 2 pump chamber and the leach field are designed for the business and the house.
Yep.
We have not we haven't required at this point, I don't think there are any orders that say the house has to be done right now, but you said you were gonna design the SAS and the pumping to handle the house.
Well, it doesn't make sense not to do it. And, you know, and chances are with the water table we found so far that that system for the house is in the water table.
Yeah,
So I mean, we might as well make it so we take care of both structures at the same time.
why don't, from my standpoint, to avoid a conflict, it would be nice if you talked to Jim and you gave the board what you are suggesting for a schedule.
Okay.
Say, this is what we do and this is what we're gonna finish. Bill, what are you thinking, Lee? Rather than us say, oh, we're demanding this or that, why? We're gonna be the sewage will be out of the porta potties. It's gonna be below the ground. It becomes an expense for Jim to manage, but that's to pump it, but that's his choice. And is it your thought that we ask them for an installation schedule, and if we agree that that's fair, we say that's fine. We just hold you to your own schedule. Is that what your thoughts are?
That makes sense.
How about Lee and Bill? What are you thinking?
Well, what dates are we talking about? We're talking in circles here. What
Well,
sort of
Well, we
date
don't
are you
have any
talking
dates
about?
yet.
Well, you have to, we can't put the system in anyway till after March because we have to do a in-season perk test. So we have to verify water table, so we can't really do the system until March. I mean, we could just certainly get the tanks in well before that.
So it is going to be a pump system then, correct?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So the elevation of the tanks aren't critical then. Okay.
No, we're keeping them out of the water table.
Yeah, yeah, all right.
Now,
Okay.
are
So-
you thinking, Neil, that the house tank wouldn't be hooked up until the pump and the leach field are hooked up? You don't want to end up pumping,
No,
going to
no,
a tight tank on the house.
no, that'll be connected after.
So the 2,000-gallon tank, so you're gonna do a drawing for the 2,000 and the 1,000 series and present that to the board as far as
Yeah, the whole
location
thing.
goes?
The whole thing. And then you'll just
whole
we'll give them permission to put in the 2 tanks
Okay.
before
So,
system.
the drawings will be seeing, I don't know how busy you are, 2 weeks, 4 weeks?
When's probably 2 meetings. When's your next meeting? So probably two meetings away.
Okay,
And
so
then-
after we give you the permission, then installation within what period of time?
Well, I'll have to talk to Jim, but I would say within a month.
Yeah, it looks to me, since you know that part is gonna be approved, why, in good faith, it seems to me like you ought to be able to schedule the 2,000 and the 1,000 gallons. You're kind of free to schedule that. Let's look at when we're gonna approve it. I'm just trying to see. It looks to me like the next Board of Health meeting is the 17th if we're missing the 14th, the next one is the 17th of December.
December 17th?
Yeah, so instead of, in keeping with what Lee is talking about, since we know where the 2,000 and 1,000 are going, we know we're going to approve and let you do that. Why don't we not start that process for the installation, assuming you get the approval for that on the 17th? Why don't you work at getting that installation set up now so you can
Okay.
get that done right away after? instead of
Right.
waiting to the 17th and say, oh, gee, it's not going to be until February and the ground's going to be frozen. Is that what you're thinking, Lee?
Well, yeah, just to keep everybody in the same spirit, since we obviously have a small history of delays, which life happens. But yeah, I would think the week of the 15th, meeting's Tuesday, so, you know, the 20th, the 18th, whatever, it can be go, 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 and get this thing in the ground, ordered up early, delivered, and, you know, make it happen.
Yeah, get your installer all set up and
Okay,
Yeah, the electrician, get the alarms put in, and, I mean, obviously, I'm not telling you what you don't already know, how to coordinate the whole thing, but
right.
you know, I'm just hoping that by the first week of January, this thing's in the ground and going.
Okay, yep, that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
okay,
Okay, thank you.
all set. Okay. Have a good night. Thanks, Neil.
Thanks. Have a great night. Appreciate it.
Take care, Neil.
Thanks, Bill. Take care.
Bye.
So we've
Uh,
got,
What will, as far as the wine house's food permits, they were extended from June 1st to September 1st. Now it's way beyond that. So what does the board want to do with that? Those for the wine house?
my feeling would be here, I'll just we can kick it around. Mine would be to send it out to the 31st of December.
I agree.
So, Lee, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I can support that for sure.
When's the current permit valid until?
Well, it went from June 1st to September 1st. And now, yeah.
So it
Oh,
fell
it's
through.
out of
So
date.
now-
Yeah.
Right now, there's no permit technically.
Right,
Okay, yeah, end of the year is fine.
okay,
Okay, so that's what we're doing, Tom.
okay.
Okay, next one is Colleen's salary dated November 2nd. And it's a standard 70-hour for the 2 weeks. Are we all set with that?
Yes.
Bill,
Yes, all set. Good, good.
I am too, Colleen, so that's
Okay.
approved.
Okay, and the meeting minutes too, don't forget.
Oh, okay, let's go back. How are we with the meeting minutes?
Good on my side.
That's the meeting minutes that is for the, so
October
we have it for the record, that's the
October
the minute-
22nd.
for October 22nd.
Yep.
Bill, how are you with
Yeah,
it?
well, I didn't go through them with a fine tooth comb, Dick, but if you're good with them, that's fine.
Okay, then I'm okay with it too, Colleen.
Okay,
So we didn't do Colleen's salary yet. Oh, yes, we did.
yep,
Yes, we did. The next one is the money turnover receipts to the treasurer totaled $1,175. Out of that is $1,065 for Board of Health permits, $50 for Board of Health fees, $60 for gas permits, and that's it, totaling at $1,175. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
And I am too, Colleen, so that's approved.
okay.
The next one is we've got one of them for a temporary food license for the Church of Christ for the Jingle Bell Bazaar on December 7th. Are we okay with that one?
Yes.
I'm good.
Yes.
I am too, Colleen, so that's approved.
Okay,
The next one is an application for well construction. It's East Street Lot 2. And that one is one of the La Flamme lots. And the location of the well is taken right off the septic system design that we approved that shows the well. And it's got all the required clearances. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
That's good. Which lot is that, Dick? Lot 3,
No,
LaFlamme?
it's lot 2. It's
Two.
lot 2.
Yeah, because we just did a conservation site visit at lot 2. And it's the one next to the estate lot, correct?
It looks like it, because it looks like there's a narrow, there's a narrow entrance way
that's
to its left.
that's a relatively flat lot. No heavy vegetation at all. It's an easy lot there. That's fine.
Okay, and I am okay with that too, Colleen, so that's
Okay.
approved.
Okay,
The next one is we have, I think we've got two of them.
Mhm.
Temporary food licenses for Granby Preservation Society. They're Jean's Tea in the Trees, or it looks like both Tea in the Trees, and November 22nd and November 25th for the Granby Preservation Society. Are we okay with that? With those?
Yes.
That's good.
Okay.
I am too, Colleen, so
Okay,
those
I
are
have a
both approved.
question on those.
Okay,
They are having tea and sugar cookies. The cookies are coming from a residential kitchen,
See, there we go, Dick.
in
There you
Ludlow,
go.
but they're made in a residential kitchen. She has
There you-
a permit. So do you want, Lynn to go out to this?
we don't inspect other towns' permits.
No,
No.
I mean to this event.
So this is a residential kitchen in the town of Granby?
No,
No, this
Ludlow.
is a,
they're just getting some sugar cookies from this residential kitchen out of Ludlow. So they're
See?
just having tea and cookies. So I'm just wondering, do you want Lynn to inspect?
my feeling is we don't need to, but there's not really any,
There's no
Potentially
food
hazardous
being cooked
food.
or prepared. That's what I was wondering.
what do you think, Bill and Lee?
See those residential kitchens, those are tough cookies, no pun intended.
No, this is a licensed residential cooking kitchen.
Yeah, she's
Oh, oh.
licensed.
Oh, it is.
This woman who's making the cookies is
Oh,
licensed.
the town of Ludlow licenses the residential kitchens?
Well, we do too, if it's a licensed
Yeah.
residential kitchen.
Huh.
Yeah, she
And
has
this
her
is
permit.
one. And Lynn goes in and inspects them, not in
Yeah.
another town, the other towns. are
Yeah,
done.
right, okay.
Yeah, I would agree, that in my way of thinking, Lynn doesn't necessarily have to, view this operation.
Okay.
Go to the Big
What-
Wine, buy some sugar cookies at the Big Y and call it a day.
I know.
Much
What
easier.
is the worst thing that she'd be looking for in here? How they store their cream, right? Their milk and cream. That
Probably.
would be I think it's a waste of everybody's effort to do that.
Mhm.
Mm,
So, Colleen, all three of us said no.
okay.
The next one is a certificate of compliance. It is just a direct replacement, tank replacement. Robert Adair is the installer. It is at, I think it said 7 Lakeview.
Mhm.
Are we set with that, Lee? Was that all done?
This is my first, notification.
No, no, you signed it.
I did.
Oh, you did sign it,
How
Lee.
how old is this thing?
This is 2 months old, a month and a half. No, it's not. You signed it on 10/20 or 10/26. I can't tell.
Yeah, it was done a while ago though, Lee, I think. He was just looking for the paperwork, but
Yeah, I haven't been over in that part of town for a little while.
I think it must
Yeah,
have been
fact,
done
it
in
looks to me,
August.
Lee, It looks to me, Lee, that it could have been August
In
6th.
August. Okay, that makes sense.
One that was at the end of the street on the right, and we couldn't get, there was an issue with how deep the water table was there, and but the tank was a
That's the-
1,000-gallon
that-
tank that had to be replaced.
Yeah, that's the house, the fireman, from
Right.
Amherst. That
Yep.
lives there. Yep. It was, I just.
So are you okay with
August
this?
was so long ago, I just couldn't remember. It was
Yeah.
a long time ago for me.
Yeah. So, Bill,
Pretty
are you
much.
okay with this?
What's the proposal again?
Oh, it's just that it was a tank that was installed in August. All it was as the result of a Title V, it had an old 1,000-gallon tank, and it was a water table issue that the guy didn't document properly. It went on, and but it was really the issue was it was a small old tank that needed to be replaced in sand, and they just did it with a 1,500.
That's
It was
fine.
done in August.
Is the tank
Okay.
level? Is it operating? Is it full of water?
I would guess it's filled a lot of with water now.
Yeah, as long as it's level and operating properly, that's fine.
Okay, I'm okay too with that.
Yeah.
Colleen, we approve that.
Okay,
So we have got uh, Title V, Greg Everson failed at 73 Amherst Street. It was a flooded system, apparently. Are we set to accept that one?
Yes.
That's
Yep, thank
fine.
you.
That's fine.
I am too.
okay.
We have item for discussion. We've got 125 Maximilian Drive. Attorney gave me a call, Bobby Steen gave me a call, the attorney gave me a call asking for what we were looking for one of the ADU requirements of not separating the properties and what to put on a deed restriction. And he wrote one up that he asked me what I thought after he asked me what I thought we were looking for. And it looked to me like it was okay. I told him to make sure he sent it to Colleen to be sent out to everybody to look at. I also told him not to indicate that I had looked at it and thought it was okay, so we wouldn't violate open meeting laws. So, Bill and Lee, did it look okay to you guys? Because it's probably the model for what we're going to have to use for all the ADUs.
Yeah. The first condition are that as long as it's in common ownership, the septic system and well are common, everything's common. But if they want to split it up, then each separate property needs its own well and own septic system. That's
And
reasonable.
that's what it says.
That's what it says. That's what it says.
Okay.
It's well written.
And I was careful. I told him that he should make sure that he writes it in a way that you don't say that the property couldn't be split up. Because I said it could be that this is an acre property and somebody wants to split up 5 acres of it off that the dwelling units aren't on at all. I said, so you have to write it in a way that the property we're talking about is the one that has the dwelling units on it.
Right.
And he did it that way. He didn't say that the
Okay.
property couldn't be divided. He said that the dwelling units couldn't be. So we're okay with that.
It says
So you can
property must be subdivided such that the single family dwelling and the ADU are no longer situated on the same lot and no longer share a common well or a common septic system.
Right. So we're saying that the way it could be divided would only be if they no longer share either
Right.
one of them.
Right. It doesn't really say that one of the new subdivided parcels must put its own well and leach field in it. It doesn't say that, but I guess that's inferred by.
Well, it says that they can't do it as long as they share either one.
Yeah. It's worded kind of funny.
It is. In fact, if you go through it, it's not, the first item looks like it says you could actually change ownership. But it's not until the last item that it says, oh, but if you change ownership, this thing has to occur.
Mm,
Because the first item, I said, geez, it just says that the current owner won't do it. That doesn't mean that the next owners can't do it. But then way down below, it says, oh no, this thing keeps going with the property.
right. That's, I think it's good enough.
Lee, are you okay with it?
Oh, yes, thank you.
The Board of Health regulations, we said we weren't gonna do anything with until after the new year. The Dollar General or Bay, I have not heard anything back from. Under other business, Colleen has a thing that we talked about, the beaver dam on Forge Pond.
Oh, yeah, I sent out a citizen's guide to addressing beaver conflicts. Did everyone get that?
I did not get it.
Colleen, would you be kind enough to send it to everybody?
I will tomorrow. Yep, I will. I
Well,
didn't see it before I left. I didn't see it before I
Yeah,
left.
oh, no. Dick, let me just send it. I can send it to you right now if you want.
Okay, but the owners of the property that's adjacent to this, the people that have been worried about this, continue to call Colleen,
Right.
and Colleen told them that it does not look like it's a Board of Health issue. It's not a health problem.
Yeah, but the point is, Dick, if you read this, there's an appeal. If the Board of Health denies it not being a health-related emergency, there's actually an appeal process. You can go to Mass Wildlife directly.
Okay. So we could let the people know that.
Yeah, so Colleen, take this document I forwarded to you and send it to the folks that are interested in that beaver dam.
Oh, why don't you tell them we're here? Hello.
Yes, hi, Tony.
Hi, how are you? We're right here.
Good to see you. Yes, we saw you at
Good.
conservation last month. Good to see you again.
How's everything? Good?
Very good, very good.
So my main concern is every day I go over there and there's another set of twigs up. And do you remember the property you looked at? It comes to a point in front of the old shack that's there, kind of comes to a point.
Yeah.
Well, that's gone up about from our measurements, the dam is 3.5 feet to 4 feet up, and it keeps getting higher and higher, and it's flooding our property. It's only about 6 inches from coming over the top there. So I called wildlife. They told me that conservation or that the building department can make an emergency, to fix the situation. Because what's happening now is that winter's coming, and last month a canoer got hurt there. And with the winter coming and the skating and the snowmobiling and the ATVs, it's a huge hazard. And especially if it's a whiteout or if it's covered in snow, nobody's going to be able to see that, and it could be a real problem.
Well, let me.
The property is on. Hang on for a second. When I went out there, it looked to, well, when I went out there, the water level was about the same on both sides of the dam. But let's say it's not. And your property, as I go in from 202, is your property the one with all the cars on it?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not that property.
Oh, it's not
the
that
property. It's the property next door.
55.
55.
So you're beyond if you're on that road, you go beyond the dam to your property.
Dick, the other problem is where this dam is located. I don't know who owns that land, but I don't think it's owned by a homeowner. It might be town-owned land.
You're talking about 55?
No, I'm
No,
talking
you know,
where the beaver dam is physically
across the street.
located.
I see.
Yeah, it comes from across the pond all the way to our property.
Yeah.
And
Well,
as
okay,
of
hold on.
today, I measured today the beaver dam's 3 feet, 8 inches above the water.
Okay,
It's a difference. And
all right.
every night there's new twigs there. Obviously, the beavers keep stacking on,
Right.
on.
All right, listen, let me paraphrase this. It's
Yeah.
Citizens Guide to Addressing Beaver Conflict. Step one, initiating the process. Board of Health has the authority to demand this to be removed. However, you have to go for a 10-day emergency permit, okay? Board of Health has to deem it a threat to public health and or safety as defined in Chapter 131, Section 80A. All right, that's number one. Step two, if your application for a 10-day permit is granted, you have to do the following. You have to trap it with a body gripper, a conibear box or cage type trap. You can get it's best to get a Massachusetts a trapping license or a licensed trapper to actually do the work, or an animal control agent. All right.
It's out of season.
The
trapping,
impression
though,
though that
right?
Forage Pond is owned by Granby though.
Yeah, well, again, and then there's a
Yeah.
trapping season. They have a trapping season that's designated.
Yeah.
I believe it
'Cause there's,
begins November 1st. The point is, if the Board of Health does not approve this tonight, you have you have another way to do it. It says if the Board of Health denies your permit because they've determined that the problem does not constitute a threat to human health and safety, appeal the decision by contacting DPH, Department of Public Health, at the 617 number within 10 days of the BOH denial. Okay.
well, since the property wasn't viewed, I believe, from my understanding, he came to 47, not 55.
Well,
Yeah, that's the problem. That when I looked at it, I went to in fact, where the new septic system is on that little point. I drove.
You can see this dam by looking to the east.
I drove beyond that,
yeah,
and I could see the water was up, coming towards the road, but there was a house down at the end that was like a dead end, and I didn't go all the way to that house.
Flooding. I don't even know further back down. But after that property, he has flooding. I believe Greg has flooding, and then it widens out there. So what happens is that the dam hasn't been running for a couple of weeks. I don't know if you guys have noticed that.
The big dam.
There's no water. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Colleen, if you would take this
It's a big
document I
difference,
sent
yeah.
out today and just send it to Beverly and Tony, please, as well as the rest of the board.
Mhm, I
It's
will.
got an item by item way to handle this.
Okay.
But the first thing is, Dick, the Board of Health has to decide whether or not it's a threat to public health and safety.
That's what I'm saying. What we should be doing is looking and see if that flooding, because I went to the wrong place.
So
That going up in the woods beyond where I was, I didn't see anything
Yeah,
other than a
yeah.
house way in the back there.
yeah.
That I didn't see anything. In fact, when I drove past that little opening into the trees, into the woods, I couldn't even see anything to the left. It's just woods, and it was flooding down to the left of the road. You could see the water coming up into that low area. You could see that, but it didn't look like it was damaging anybody.
Oh, you got to drive down and look at it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the beaver dam is very impressive. It's like I said, we measured it today, and it was 3 feet 8 inches difference of water.
But again, if it's not flooding anybody, and
it's flooding
and
my
from
property.
my standpoint, having a snowmobile hit it, that's if there's a tree that went across the thing and a snowmobile hit it.
I was just concerned about that because I know people go skating on it, and snowmobiling and ATV and on it. So, and if it gets white out or if it gets a lot of snow, they're not going to see that. It might be a big problem. So that's why I was bringing
That's
to the attention.
hypothetical.
You know, yeah,
What is
hypothetical,
the
yeah.
flooding, is
So-
there
So,
flooding
when
that,
you say that there is a threat to public health, how do they, what are the parameters of that?
Well,
Every single day, twice a year, how does that work?
oh, does it flood septic systems, does it flood
Or
roads,
the wellhead, the wellhead or the leach field.
wellheads?
Yeah, I
Is
don't
it-
know
is
about the
it
other
just-
neighbors, but I know my property's getting flooded.
Or I would guess a basement, if a basement gets flooded as a result of this, that's another public health issue, I would
If
argue.
it's just flooding, that's not, if it's
That's a
flooding
seasonal thing
property,
anyway.
that's not, and that's not the same thing as a public health hazard.
Okay, so Tony, so if the Board of Health denies this, it says if your appeal is denied, you may
Okay.
then apply to Mass Wildlife for a non-emergency permit and the Conservation Commission for a notice of intent. These permits allow for removal of beaver or muskrat, breaching of dams, and installation of flow regulation devices like beaver deceivers, okay?
Yeah.
Now, the other
Yeah,
thing,
you guys,
Bill, help-
you guys
help-
want to come down and
help
look at
Tony
it?
out.
It's
Wait a
very,
second. We're gonna be in trouble. You're gonna be in trouble, Tony. I know you are. Because we're gonna get into the spot that it's not on Tony's land, that.
well,
it's
let me read
on
this.
land.
It says,
So
please
how
it
do
is
we
note.
on
get-
my land.
That's right. Please note, permits issued by BOH Conservation, Mass Wildlife do not allow permittees or their authorized agent to trespass on private property. If beavers are not located on your land, you must obtain the property owner's permission to access their land.
We are the property owners.
Yeah, but we are the property owners.
Your property owners of the beaver dam?
No, well, the beaver dam, no. The beaver dam comes from one side of the pond and
Ah,
attaches
there
to
you
our
see,
side.
that's the problem, Dick. This beaver dam is not on their property. That's the
Yeah, but
problem.
I know what you could do. If that's the way you're gonna deal with this thing, is that you could go where it hits their property. They certainly could go in the water and break the dam or put the deceiver. They could do what they want in
That's
there.
right, that's right.
But in terms of trapping the beavers, we could give an emergency permit for this thing, but we have to say, what is the reason, what is the actual health reason that we're doing this? What
Yeah.
is the, what's being
Well, there is.
threatened?
My concern was, like I said, if when the pond freezes over and people go skating and snowmobiling and
No, we can't use that. We cannot
you know,
use
and
that.
that was my concern about it. So I'm not familiar with the laws or anything like that, but I know that people snowmobile and quad there all the time when it freezes, and they won't be able to see that if there's snow on it. It's a difference of almost 4 feet, and like I said, every week it just keeps getting up, and up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, Tony, you own 47 and 55 Forge Pond, correct?
Yes, sir. You
Okay.
remember
Yeah, of
the
course.
trees that the beavers were knocking
Yeah.
down.
Well, I'm looking at Mass Mapper right now, and I'm looking at the property lines, which typically aren't terribly accurate.
Yeah.
You own essentially to the edge of Forge Pond. You do not own Forge Pond.
Correct. Yes, I'm to the edge, and the beaver dam comes from the other side of the pond and attaches to my side of the pond.
So it attaches to the little peninsula, to the little tip.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm looking at that right now, and I'm measuring it as we speak here, and it is approximately,
Said we can do it ourselves.
it's about 75 feet.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
It's impressive. It's impressive.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, if you guys want to come down anytime, take a look at it. But it's very, and like I said, every night that's why they call them busy beavers. There's another, 10, 15 twigs put on top of what's there already. So my concern is just, people on it and flooding, Yeah,
Well,
and the
once
flooding
the-
I'm having.
Once the water starts flowing again, it's gonna build up behind it. That's what the beavers want it to do, and
Right.
and
Right, that's what's happening, yeah. Yeah.
Again, the long-term solution is to put in a beaver deceiver, and that'll be the end of it. Because if you breach it, they're just going to rebuild it.
Right, exactly, yes, yes,
That's what I would recommend.
yeah.
well, that's what are we trying to do here? Are we?
Get rid of the
are
beaver
we-
dam.
I know that. I'm saying from a.
Oh, no. I think you don't want to get rid of the beaver dam. You want the water level to be the same on both
Correct.
sides of
Correct.
the lake.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, because it's flooding my land and my
Right.
neighbor's land also,
So
yeah,
that's where the beaver deceiver is a better solution.
yeah.
Okay.
The problem that we have right now, unless you say it's flooding a septic system, it's flooding a well, it's flooding a cellar. If it's doing stuff like that, then the Board of Health can do that, and then since the town owns it, then you could go to the town and say, hey, this is a health thing, we can't do this because we don't own it. We
Yeah.
need to get a beaver deceiver put in here. So the first thing is to find out what it is that's causing the health problem here. And
Okay.
what is it? Is there anybody's well that's being threatened?
Well,
or is
I
there-
don't know about my neighbors, but if it goes another month or two, it's gonna be coming onto my land, and there is an old shack there, and it'll be going into the cellar eventually. And I don't know about my neighbors; they're a little lower than I am, because Bill would know that land was up a little bit higher than the other lands around it. So I don't know if they're having problems with it going into their well, or going into their.
Why don't you talk to them? Since they're the ones that are living there, they're the ones that are going to be in a
Explain to me, yeah,
threatened,
yeah,
and threatened by this thing. So if you get them to be saying, yeah, this thing is going to ruin our well. It's got the water table high enough, so now our septic system is
yeah,
below it's above, the water is above our septic system. So even though it's not on the surface, the septic system isn't working anymore because the water table's up within a foot of the surface. Then we can get something that we say, okay, now that's a health issue. Let's go to the selectmen and say, hey, these people have a health issue in here. We've got to, because one way or the other, since the town owns that, we've got to get the town involved. You
Yeah.
can't do it. The town has to. So the first thing is to generate the data that says this is the specific health issue that it is. And the best way to do it is find someone that's living near it and say, hey, this water level is now within 2 feet of the surface. We know your septic system's underwater. It's not working anymore because we know the water table's up. And now we can say, now it's affected something. Then it becomes a health issue. So it definitely is
the
the
state
neighbors, they're
supply
the ones that,
this, piping? Excuse me, Dick. Does the
Go
state
ahead, Lee.
supply this, deceiver, hardware, or how does that work?
We actually put one on Pleasant Street 2 years ago. Probably 200 feet south of Wally Boy's old house. There's a deceiver that went in. There's a company in
Yep.
East Hampton called Beaver Solutions. And
Okay.
for the fee of around $2,000 or $3,000, they will install a beaver deceiver, and they will actually maintain it for you as well.
there was
So
one
this isn't
at the end of
something
Green-
that the state, or this is whether it's the homeowner that,
Well, like
pays
Dick
for
says, if
it.
this is town-owned property, we'll have Dave DeRozier take care of this. That's a
Okay.
project for Dave.
But to do
all right.
it right, what happens is we get only, you guys do the homework to say this is the thing that it's causing, and it's getting bigger. So we say the problem now is getting bigger. Then we can go to the select board and say, we're calling this a health hazard. We need the town help to do it because nobody can do this legally unless the owners do it. And then, so that it sounds like what you're saying, Bill, is probably the right thing, is that trying to kill the beavers is not, since it's a town land,
No, you don't
trying to
want,
get
you don't want to
everybody
do
to
that.
say it's
It-
okay to kill the beavers isn't gonna
No,
work.
no,
you don't
that
wanna do
wasn't
that.
even our thought.
No, we weren't
You
thinking
don't.
of that at all. No.
But the way we do this on conservation is you file for an emergency conservation permit, which will grant you immediately. You actually do the work and you actually fill out the paperwork after the job's done. You have 30 days to do it. It has to be done within a 30-day window.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the one that the Board of Health does, Phil, is an out-of-season beaver trapping permit, but that's not what we're looking for right here.
Right.
We're,
That's right.
we're
That's
looking
right.
for a different thing.
That's right. Different
So-
solution. Yeah, it says employing any non-lethal management or water control device in accordance with Conservation Commission specifications and authorization. That's what you want.
Right. So we went to make this thing work properly, is you guys do the work to say, here's what we think is the health hazard. The Board of Health then can say, yes, this is a health hazard. And the owner is the town, we go to the town and say, this is what the hazard is. How do we go about getting it fixed with the issue being a water control? But it doesn't deal with the fact that the dam is there and the snowmobile's gonna hit it. It's not gonna deal with that. What it'll do is it'll protect your property from the water, not the dam that's there, and that's a different issue.
Yeah, we were also, but the important thing is the rising of the water. Okay, well, so we'll do our homework and send something in, and we'll go from there. But if you
Good.
guys would like to see it, it's amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
And no
think
water
that you
runs through it.
Yeah.
No
I
water
think you've
runs.
got another problem, that once the water starts to flow, once we get water in the ground again, I think you're gonna see that it becomes a different problem. I think the water level will come up. Once it comes up, then the amount of water behind it has the potential for causing flooding once it breaks downstream. Then, because there's
Right.
so much stuff
Yes.
that's close to the
Absolutely.
the water. So that's a different problem than you're seeing right now, because
Yep.
there's no water right now.
Yep. Absolutely, yes.
You know, if you want to
Okay.
see the difference of what you're dealing with, if you go on New Ludlow Road next to the old dump and look at the little pond that people used to skate in the winter time, that all it is, there's a little puddle in it. It's all dried out. There's no water.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing here. So you do that part of your homework, get
Okay.
back to us, and then so we're not after the Board of Health permission to do out-of-season trapping. That's not what we're doing. We're going the route that we determine that it's a public health hazard. We then end up asking the conservation to approve the fix, but the town has to do it. So the board can assist with that, with saying to get it done because of the health hazard. So that's the way we
Understood.
go about it.
Yep.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
folks. Good to
folks.
see
Okay,
you.
take care. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So
That's
what else?
good, Dick. That's perfect, because that's a perfect example where conservation and Board of Health work hand in hand to solve a problem. That's good.
Yeah, and then we get the selectmen, because it's gonna be some money to be spent, and
Right.
but you have to do it in a way that, for sure, if you have the town killing beavers, that's not gonna go
No.
over well.
Yeah, it's not
No,
gonna
you
work
don't
out.
want to do that. You don't want to do that.
So
Okay.
what else do we have?
Think that's it.
If that's the case, then everybody can go home.
Very good. Okay, folks.
Okay, folks,
And we can
thank you
all
very much.
hope for the best with what's going on tomorrow.
Yes,
Yeah, let me give,
Yeah.
I'll give you the reaction on that. Let's hope that this is the scenario tomorrow.
You know what's interesting is I said to my wife, if you look at what's happened, you've got the men of this country went to world war to save this country, and we'll see if the women, in fact, got around to saving it on this time.
Yeah, I hear you.
Let's hope
That's
so.
the-
So our next meeting is next Thursday.
Is that, what did I send out? It's the 14th, is that right?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
the
it is,
14th.
okay,
Yeah, I'm
okay.
just reminding everybody.
Yeah,
Yep,
just, yeah,
next Thursday, because it's
Yeah,
kind of off our
next Thursday.
schedule, but
yeah.
Right.
we're
Please
two
send me,
meetings in one
yes.
pay period, but
I
send me a
sent you- I
send
sent
me a
everybody
telephone
a-
reminder, Colleen, if you would. Thank you.
you want me
Yeah,
to call, what'd you say? Give you a
No,
reminder?
call me
Bill?
on the telephone and
Call
remind
you.
me,
Okay,
because
I will. All
I
right,
get so blitzed with stuff. Okay, thank you so much.
sure.
So that's, yeah, next Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I sent
Okay.
out. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Okay,
All right,
take it
good night.
easy. Thanks,
Good night.
okay, bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.